I avoided Alignment Guide for years because it just looked confusing, but turns out it solves one of SwiftUI's biggest layout issues. So today we'll be talking about Alignment Guide, the view modifier, and custom alignments, and we'll explore some examples on what these do and how you can use them in your app. What does the Alignment Guide API do? Well, it lets you change the alignment of a view. Pretty simple, right? You usually know alignment as leading, center, trailing, top, and bottom. But in this case, we're more talking about offsets or positions with respect to the view's parent container. So usually an HStack, a ZStack, or a VStack. The AlignmentGuides API by itself is powerful, but it can be paired with custom alignments for even more control, and we'll explore this in a very interesting example later on in the video, so stay tuned. In most of the basic use cases for alignment guides, you can replace them with geometry reader, match geometry effects, padding, or offsets. But they can be used, and this is the major layout problem in SwiftUI that you usually cannot solve otherwise. Alignment guides can be used to align views in separate containers. So we'll be going through a couple of examples in this video, and I've always demonstrated things with some colored boxes on the screen. They always have a height of 50 points and a width of 100 points, just to make it clear for you. The example stacks used in this video always have a spacing of 16 points. And all of the images are exported with a width of 300 points, just for your reference. Just as a quick note, Alignment Guide is just half the magic and is also half of this video, so we'll first dive into that. And second half will be custom alignments, because they are the true hero behind this API. So if you enjoy content like this, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. It would help me out tremendously. So in our first example here, we have a VStack with a leading alignment. And we have alignment guides for each of these three boxes, but they all return the value 0. So nothing really happens here. This is the default value if you just omit using this API. I've also added this little visual indicator here, the vertical line, to show the leading alignment guide of the VStack. But now what happens if we apply a alignment guide of 100 to our first view? As you can see, this moves the view to the leading edge by 100 points. All of the other views inside of the stack still are behind or start at the regular alignment guide. The whole thing is now centered. So this behaves a little differently than, for example, offset would, where offset only moves the specific view, but the others don't get moved in the layout. Here with alignment guides, all of the views actually move on the screen. And similarly, if we apply a negative offset of 100 or a negative alignment guide of 100, then box A moves away from the leading alignment guide and all of the others shift to the left, so everything is centered in the container again. So very briefly, this is what the coordinate system of alignment guides looks like. It's positive towards the top and towards the left. If you want to explore alignment guides, I've made a free playground app. It's available on GitHub. The link is in the video description. You can play around with offsets and with some of the other stuff that we'll be covering later in this video. So a quick intermezzo. Alignment guide, padding, and offset, these are three APIs that serve very similar purposes, but what's the difference? So first of all, there's a semantic difference. Padding adds empty space to a view. It pads the view. Whereas an offset moves the view relative to its original position, but does not move the view's frame. And an alignment guide changes the alignment of the surrounding stack. So simple alignment guide implementations can usually be replaced by more readable implementations of padding, offset, perhaps even the position view modifier. So this is the API that we're actually referring to here. And as you can see, we have to specify a vertical alignment for this vertical alignment guide here, but you can also have a different view modifier for horizontal alignment. And then there's this compute value closure, which is what we've used so far, and we've either returned 0, 100, or minus 100. But as you can see, this closure actually gets an argument called view dimensions. So let's have a look at what this actually does. So until now, we've only used constants to move our alignment guides, but the compute value closure provides a view dimensions argument, and as the name suggests, this type contains the dimensions and the size of the view, so width and height, as well as their current alignment values. But let's explore this in detail, what this actually means. So we have height and width. So in our case, this would be 50 and 100 points for all of our boxes. We have the horizontal offsets. So how far does a particular edge or point on an axis of this view move away from the alignment guide? Sounds complicated, but what this really means is dot leading is usually 0, dot center is half of the width of the view, and dot trailing is width of the view. So the trailing edge is 100 points away from the alignment guide. And then the same applies to the vertical offsets, so top, center, and bottom there as well. There are always two different values that we can fetch here. So dimensions leading or dimensions explicit leading. So we have implicit and explicit values. The implicit values I've already covered. So they're usually 0 for leading, half the width for center, and width for trailing. These are the default alignment guides or the default alignment values if no guide were applied. In most cases, this is all you need. But there are also the explicit values of the view dimensions, and by default, these are also the same. They are very rarely needed, only in cases where you change the alignment for both vertical and the horizontal axis, which is the case in a ZStack, for example. So let's have a look at these values in detail. Once again, a VStack with a leading alignment and a leading alignment guide. And as you can see, we now grab the closure arguments, the view dimensions. I just called it D here for simplicity's sake. And now we are offsetting box A by D.width, so by its own width, which is 100 points. So this behaves exactly the same as the second example that we had, where we offset it by a constant 100 points. And then the same applies to the negative width here. This is now negative 100 and now moves the view towards the trailing edge. So these were the basics of alignment guides. Let's now explore custom alignments and how they help us implement some interesting animations. So some general notes here. There are 3 types of alignment types. There is horizontal alignment, leading, center, trailing. There's vertical alignment, top, center, bottom. There's also alignment, which combines both the horizontal and the vertical axes. This is something that you might know from ZStacks, where you have a top leading alignment, or from overlays, for example. It is very easy to recreate the default alignments, but the real power is in using this for custom linked views across containers. This is a similar API to how you would use matched geometry effect. So let's get started by recreating the HorizontalAlignment.leading implementation. So you always get started by creating an extension on horizontal or vertical alignment, depending on what you want to accomplish. And then you create an alignment ID, which is just an enum. Now in my case, I called it leading alignment because that's what we want to recreate. And then there's always just this one function that you have to implement, and it's called default value in context. And the context is once again the view dimensions that we already know from the alignment guide. And this is supposed to return a float. Now, if we want to recreate the leading alignment, we'll just return horizontal alignment.leading from our context. To make things easier, we're also adding a static constant here called leading alignment, just so we can grab this in the UI easier. So then in your VStack, you could say VStack alignment of horizontal alignment.leading alignment. And now you've recreated .leading yourself. Pretty simple stuff. Same would be, of course, possible for .trailing and .center. But now let's do something more interesting. We'll be using custom alignment and an alignment guide to implement this little tab view animation where a blue dot moves behind the selected tab. These live in different containers, of course. The 3 tabs live in an HStack, and then the blue dot is in a ZStack behind this HStack. But let's have a look at what we're doing here. So we're creating a custom alignment. So the blue circle and the selected icon are in the same alignment. And this is the real magic. This is the thing you need to understand. You're creating alignments between views, not just for a single view. The views are not in the same stack, so we can't use one of the default alignments like .center to align them. So what we want is their positions to sync. The following implementation is based on a great article from SwiftUI Lab, which I've also linked in the video description if you want to check it out. This should look familiar to you because it's very similar to the .leading alignment implementation we did a few minutes ago. So now we're creating a tab alignment ID. And this is also a horizontal alignment. And in our default value, we return HorizontalAlignment.center because we want to align them from their center point, not leading or trailing, of course. We're also adding a convenience accessor, so a static-led tab alignment is our horizontal alignment of tabAlignment.self. I know this looks a bit confusing, but I hope you can bear with me here. Then we're also creating an extension on alignment itself. So why are we doing this? Well, we're working with a ZStack, and ZStacks don't take in a horizontal alignment, they don't take in a vertical alignment, they take in one of these combined horizontal and vertical. They are called alignment. So here we're creating one of them, we're also calling a tab alignment, and as horizontal, we're using the one that we just created, and as vertical, we're just aligning it in the center of the view as well. So now let's have a look at how the UI is implemented in general. So we have a ZStack with our .tab alignment, then we have a blue circle, and then we have an HStack with different tabs. And the concept that you need to understand here is that depending on which tab is selected, we're going to move that view into our tab alignment. And that way the blue circle and the selected tab will sync their alignment. So we have a selected tab state here. Currently both versions, if selected tab is 0 and otherwise we're showing the exact same view. Then of course we have the same for selected tab equals 1 and selected tab equals 2 for our two other icons. So these are the three places that we need to adapt. I'll get started at the bottom. If house is not currently selected, we'll have an on tab gesture there where with a quick animation, we'll change the selected tab. Very simple stuff. You could also turn this into a button, but I think in this case, a tab gesture is a bit more readable. And now there are two exact same pieces of code applied to both our selected tab and to our blue circle. Let's get started with the blue circle. There we have a alignment guide for our tab alignment, and the important part here is that the alignment guide needs to use the same alignment as the container. So our ZStack uses .tab alignment and our alignment guide also uses .tab alignment. And then we're just returning the center of the view because we want the center of the circle to be synced with the center of the house image. And we apply the same modifier to the selected house tab image as well. And then what we get is exactly this. So we have our on tab gesture on the icons that are not currently selected. And if they are selected, we're telling them, hey, become part of this tab alignment thing that we created. And then the blue circle automatically knows it should sync its center with the center of the alignment, which is defined by the center of the icon. I hope this wasn't too confusing. Alignment guides are something that you need to play around with yourself in order to get a feeling for how they work, but they're pretty interesting to create layouts just like this one without a lot of code. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into alignment guides and want more help with your projects, I'm now offering consulting sessions for SwiftUI, iOS development, and also in the app building. Just shoot me an email via hello@flowrightsco.de.